TFL EV is brought to you by Flow Charger, maker of reliable, high-quality charging stations for your electric vehicle. Hey guys, this is going to be about the most American review I've done in a long time, because that is an American car by an American brand built in America, competing with another very popular American car. And I'm talking, of course, about the Tesla Model Y. People somehow forget that that's an American car company. But today we're going to be reviewing this. The first and brand new 2023 Cadillac Lyriq. It is Cadillac's first all-electric car, and in fact, Cadillac has now gone completely electric, so all their new models are going to be electric. If you've watched Andre's review of the Cadillac Escalade TTSV, that's the last internal combustion engine car the Cadillac will be producing. It's all going to be electric from now on. Doesn't mean you can't get gas Cadillacs, you still can, but in the future, all electric. So let's talk about this 2023 Cadillac Lyriq and what makes it unique. In this review, I'm going to give you a walk around. So I'm going to show you all the cool features and all the fun stuff that's different. Then, of course, we're going to go on the inside and show you everything cool in there. We're going to take it for a ride, talk about how it drives, and we'll end up here where I'm going to tell you something that's really odd about this car. So let's start with the design, because there is some interesting design language here. First and foremost, like the Escalade, this has vertical headlights, and the only horizontal is this little turn signal. And in fact, in the back, they're pretty cool. So let me turn it on and check out kind of the way the turn signals work in the back, because it's pretty cool. Cadillac said that they concentrated on lights in this car, and true that. So check out this turn signal. How cool is that, huh? Sequential. And of course, if you go the other side, it does the other thing. I kind of like that. I'm digging it. It reminds me of a Mustang, and not the Mach-E. I'm talking about the original Mustang. Now, the other interesting thing is, because it's an electric car, they had to redesign the way that the door handle works. So you can't grab it, you push in, it opens, and then there's a little grab handle right up there. And you may be wondering, how does it work in the back? There's no grab handle. Well, let me show you. Cadillac has thought of it. Once again, you push in, and then there's a little pad right there where you grab and open the door. That is a little reminiscent of the Mach-E. Now, another interesting feature that's unique to this car, and Cadillac says that they're implementing in a lot of their vehicles, is this grille. You'll notice this interesting pattern in the grille. Obviously, electric cars don't need open grilles because they don't need as much cooling as traditional internal combustion engine cars. And Cadillac says that they can change the pattern in this grille based on the model. So if and when there is, let's say, a CT, well, actually a V version of the Lyriq, then this could be much more aggressive, signaling that you have the bigger and more expensive car. Now, the Lyriq comes in both a rear-wheel drive and an all-wheel drive. And this is a rear-wheel drive, puts out 340 horsepower. But you can get, well, sort of, kind of, we'll get to that at the end of this, an all-wheel drive version. This particular one starts at about 63,000. The all-wheel drive is 65. And the only option, really, Cadillac is simplifying their model lineup, are these 22-inch wheels and tires. And Cadillac says that this was the first time they actually designed wheels and brakes so that they're not only aerodynamic, but that they're aerodynamic and let air into the wheel so that it can cool the brakes, because obviously cooling the brakes is pretty important. Now, if you're wondering how you charge it, and let's talk about some numbers, all you do is push on this little Cadillac logo, the charging port opens, and you've got both level 2 and, of course, DC fast charging right there. Cadillac says it will charge up to 190 kilowatts, which is pretty quick. In layman's terms, that means 20 to 80% in about, well, they're saying you can get about 75 miles of range in about 10 minutes. EPA is 312 miles of range and 102 kilowatt hour battery. All good. All stuff that, you know, it sounds very similar to what a Tesla Model Y would be. In fact, this would directly compete with a Tesla Model Y, or maybe even a Mustang Mach-E. Now, perhaps the other thing that electric cars are known for are Frunks. And let's see what's underneath the hood of this Lyriq. Is it a Frunk? Is it not a Frunk? Keep in mind that some new electric cars, like the Mercedes-Benz EQS, don't actually allow you to open up the Frunk, because they don't want you getting into it. So nothing here. What you see is just a plastic cover, and you may be wondering what's under the plastic cover. Let's pop it open and look. All right. There you have it, kind of the internals of the vehicle. That is not a motor. If it were all-wheel drive version, that would be the motor. That is the inverter. A lot of room. You're thinking to yourself, why didn't they give it a frunk? I asked the chief engineer that, and she actually gave me an interesting answer. Let's see if I can put this back together. Come on. There we go. Yay, wahoo. She gave me an interesting answer. She said that she could have kept a lot of the things like, you still have to have brakes, you have to have a master cylinder in the front here and giving you a very shallow trunk, or she could have taken all the stuff that usually lives under the hood and moved it to the back of the car, making the internal of the storage area narrower. So she'd rather have no frunk and bigger back than tiny frunk and small back. Oh, by the way, this is where you put your windshield wiper fluid. So you don't have to have a special little, like BMW does, for instance, their little logo turns into the filler for the windshield wiper fluid, or the EQS Mercedes has a little notch on the side. So let's see if she's right. Let's see if there's more room in the back of the car because of the fact that there's no frunk. Here's another interesting thing you'll notice back here. No windshield wiper. Cadillac says that this spoiler creates enough aero effect to knock the water off the rear windshield. Does it actually knock the snow off? I don't know. Usually I like to have a rear windshield. We'll see. Yet to be determined. Of course, to open the hatch, you push on the Cadillac logo, and you get a pretty good size rear area. You also get a little cubby hole right here, where you can store things out of sight. For instance, this would be a good cubby for groceries or anything you don't want prying eyes to see. Electrically folding seats, which I won't fold down because I'm going to get in the back and show you just how much room is in the back. Now this is a crossover, but for some reason, the latest versions of these crossovers look like that European shooting brake. I never got the shooting brake reference. I always thought it was kind of odd, but it does kind of look like a tall station wagon. But in reality, it is, of course, a crossover. So let's see how much room I have. I am sitting behind myself, where I drive. Plenty of legroom, plenty of headroom. The ubiquitous center armrest that comes down. You also have this massive glass sunroof, and it does have a unique feature that Tesla doesn't have, and I'll show you that when I get to the front. But yeah, very airy, very light in here. And Cadillac has re-engineered all their control switches, all their switchgear, and they say they've made them very unique, very expensive, very luxurious, and they are kind of cool in terms of power. 2 USB-C ports, and of course an electric outlet. So yeah, it's comfortable. 4 big guys like me would fit quite comfortably in here. I'm not sure about 5, but 4 would do very well. All right, let's get in the front, start it up, and talk about some cool features. So one of the most unique features of this car is the switchgear. Since this is Cadillac's and GM's, one of GM's initial electric cars, they've actually redesigned all the switchgear. As you know, GM is an umbrella for a lot of different brands besides Cadillac. Chevy, of course, comes to mind right away. And sometimes they share switchgear. In this Cadillac, it's all new, it's all original, which is nice. And this right there is a 33-inch screen. If you've ever seen one of my reviews of the Mercedes-Benz EQS, you know that it has a giant hyper screen. It's the longest screen. It goes from here all the way to the passenger side, but it's not one single screen. There are multiple screens hidden underneath. Here, Cadillac says largest screen in the industry. It's one continuous screen. And it actually is very elegant and allows for a lot of cool things. So let's talk about, let me give you kind of the top 5 things I love on the interior before we take it for a ride. Number 5, you may be wondering to yourself, how do I open the glove box? There's no button. Well, what you do is you hit controls and you hit glove box. There you go, it's virtual. So if you love virtual controls, if you like the clean minimalistic design, you're gonna like that. But Cadillac has used regular buttons for the climate control system, which is also nice. Number 4, here's the thing I also like about it. It's this little paddle switch right there. Now that does not shift gears. This car does not have gears. What that does is it allows you to increase the amount of regen or regenerative braking that this car provides, so that you can, in essence, use it as a brake. So you can pretty much drive either with the steering wheel and your left hand without touching your foot to the brake. And I think that's kind of cool. I always like when they reimagine what cars can be and what cars can do. Number 3, pretty good audio system, but they've kept the volume knob. I really hate when automakers lose a volume knob. It's always a bit of a struggle figuring out how to quickly turn the volume on and off. Here you can do it. And then of course, if you want, you can also use this shift, this little rotary knob, to control the touchscreen. I like touchscreen, so I'm just going to touch them. And of course, the downside is that this is covered in fingerprints, but you knew that. Number 2, like I was saying, a lot of Teslas have glass roofs. The Cadillac actually gives you, look at that, a screen to allow you to close it so that the sun doesn't boil you inside the car, which is really cool. And I think that brings us to number 1. Check out what's behind my head there. Those are speakers. And it's nice having speakers in the headrest, but this car also has noise cancellation technology, which mainly takes place right there. So one great thing about electric cars is that they're very quiet. There's kind of this feeling of serenity and kind of peace and calm when you're driving it. It's the electric powertrain. It's the fact that all you get is basically tire and wind noise. And Cadillac, just like a set of Bose noise cancellation speakers, uses these speakers to actually cancel that out. So that's kind of cool too. So let's take it for a ride. Now, unlike Tesla, there is an on and off button, and then to shift it into drive, you pull forward and push down. And they, of course, have once again reinvented how you shift cars, but I actually like this. It's very straightforward. Back, forward, and back is forward, and up is reverse. And then, of course, you have a camera back here, which is also really cool. So you can see what's behind you there, or you can use this camera. And this, of course, is great when there's bad weather, and let's say that your rear windshield is covered with snow because there's no wiper. You can use this camera to see out the back. I think that's kind of an elegant solution. It is a little awkward to use if you're not used to it. It's hard to switch kind of the focal point of your eyes. All right, so let's take it for a ride. Unlike many EVs, Cadillac has done something really unique and interesting, and that is they do give you one pedal driving. In other words, right when I left the gas, it brakes, but you can basically choose how much regenerative braking you want. So you could have normal, none, high, or let me give you an example here. I'm approaching this stop sign, and if I really want it to stop hard, all I do is hit this pedal, and the car comes to a complete stop. So I hit that pedal way too early. Let me try again, one more time. Hit the pedal, and once you get used to it, it's kind of an interesting way to drive. So how quick is it? Cadillac says it's rear-wheel drive, 0 to 60 in the 6-second range. Let's see what that feels like. I'm just going to give it a little bit of electricity when we merge onto this main road after this truck, and let's see how it accelerates. Here we go. Yeah, my butometer says that's about 6 seconds. I wouldn't exactly call it Tesla Model S Plaid. Take your breath away and squeeze your brain in the back of your skull quick, but for a Cadillac, it is actually very quick and I would say relatively responsive. You can also change the drive modes. There are 4 different functions that you change when you change the drive modes. So there's your one pedal driving, there's your traction control, and then the different drive modes basically control, I believe, 3 parameters. They firm up the steering when you go from regular, normal to sport. They change the throttle, pedal, acceleration, and they change the amount of braking. Cadillac says that this car does not have electronically controllable, I'm making a right turn here so I can go back, does not have electronically controllable adjustable shock absorbers, but that they've engineered these to be as comfortable as possible without keeping them, without adding a lot of expense to make this thing very expensive. Actually, I could probably pull in here and look at this beautiful area. We are outside of Salt Lake City. Cadillac flew me out here, full disclosure, to test drive this. They put me up in a really nice hotel and they let me drive this car. So yeah, it's pretty beautiful here. Like I said, this is about as American as it gets. Other driving characteristics that are probably important to Cadillac buyers, it does have almost level 2 autonomy, and available on this car through an over-the-air update will be GM Super Cruise. which allows for a geo-fenced area of American highways, pretty much most divided highways, to have hands-free and obviously accelerator or brake-free driving. But it's in the car, it's just not enabled. It's coming soon. So let's kind of head outside, and I will put this in park. I will turn it off, and let's wrap up this quick review and talk about why this car is a little bit odd. So what GM is proud of is the fact that when this car went on sale, it sold out like that. 10 minutes, gone. All the 2023s are no longer available. If you want a Lyriq for yourself, there is a wait list that you can get on for the 2024 model, which will start production sometime at the beginning of next year and be delivered second quarter of 2024. These 2023 models are going into production now, and they will be delivered in the next month or two to people who've already bought them. But the question that is most on everybody's mind is, how many 2023s is Cadillac building? And Cadillac won't say. So while the car is sold out, whether they're building 100 or 1,000 or 10,000, we don't know. So hard to judge just how successful it has been. But nevertheless, it is available, and if you're one of the lucky few that had ordered yours, your car should be coming any day now because they are going into production. What do I think of this car? You know, I'm a little bit torn. I really like the design language. I think it's unique to Cadillac. I've always been a fan of big American sedans, and what they've done here is they've actually taken what looks like, or what could be, a kind of a stodgy crossover and made it modern and stylish and elegant without making it kind of ham-fisted. So I think that's an interesting design. I'm going to hold off on my driving impressions review completely until I drive the all-wheel drive one. It does get more horsepower, so it should be quicker. They're saying 0 to 60 in 4 seconds. And one of the fun things about electric cars is instant torque, of course, and the fact that it does accelerate quickly. Like I say, this one is fine, but it doesn't take your breath away. I do like the fact that Cadillac has actually, like Tesla now, introduced a heat pump so that it does save on energy use, and heat pumps for the HVAC are kind of the way that this industry is going. Now, there are some things that it's missing. For instance, as you know, we just bought a Ford F-150 Lightning, and one of the cool features of that is it allows you to charge other electric cars. This, not yet, but Cadillac says, hold on, there is news coming in that front. So, did Cadillac reinvent the electric car? No, but did they do the electric Cadillac of cars? And the answer is hell yes. So if you love Cadillacs, and if you love kind of that old American luxury taken now and reimagined for the new millennium, then I think you're going to like this car. I'm going to hold out for the all-wheel drive one. I want to see what, you know, more power, more torque, and more performance can do. As always, this is Roman reporting for, in this case, TFL EV. Go to alltfl.com, and that way you can stay on top of our TikToks, our podcasts, and of course all of our videos. See you guys next time. Ciao.